I'm almost certain someone is entering my apartment, but not taking anything. I had doubts about posting this, as I'm really unsure what to do. I tried to ignore this anxiety I've had for a while, but today I know for a fact that something is not right. I'd like to start with some backstory. I'm a 22-year-old female, and I live alone in an apartment building in a very safe town. The apartment building requires a key code to even get in. I started renting this place at the beginning of June with my now ex-boyfriend. He broke up with me a couple of weeks after moving in, and I'd like to think we cut things off pretty cleanly. He didn't want to be with me anymore, and I respected that. I left town for 2 days and told him he could come get his things from the apartment and to get rid of his key afterwards. I can't imagine him ever keeping the key. He's never shown stalker tendencies, and he blocked me on pretty much everything, which I was fine with. Soon after he left, I started feeling weird. Like I said, it's a safe neighborhood. I've never felt like I was being watched or in danger. But a few weeks ago, I'd come home and things felt kind of off. So, I decided to deep clean my apartment and move furniture around. I went through all of my clothes and bedding. Anything I didn't want, I got rid of. I don't have a lot, so I know there's nothing I missed when cleaning. Still, something never felt right when I would leave and come back. I have 3 cats and a big old dog that separated from them during the day and kept in a bedroom. My apartment isn't very big, but the room is specifically set up for him. I know cats are monsters, and sometimes things get moved around, but it always felt like it was more than that. Like, I found an old shirt that I thought my ex took with him. Today, my theory was confirmed. Something is very not right. I was gone from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. just to get some extra hours in with my job. And today, I came back and found these 2 hats sitting stacked on top of each other on the floor. They say, American Legion Post 434 Ashland, Pennsylvania, and each has a pin of the American flag. 1 red hat, 1 blue hat. I have never, ever seen them before in my life. I didn't even know what they were from, and I still don't really understand. Nothing was taken. My animals are all fine. But what is happening? Does anyone have some sort of reasoning for me? Again, nothing was taken. I ordered a security camera, but it won't be in for a couple of days. Thanks for any advice in advance. Keanu. Update. I don't know if this is going to be against the rules. I'm going to triple check. Months ago, I wrote a post about someone breaking into my apartment but not stealing anything. I am dumb and deleted my old post, but after setting up a security camera, I didn't find any evidence that someone was breaking in. I tried reaching out to my landlord to change my locks, which did happen, but I have since moved out. I thought someone was breaking in because I had come home and there were 2 hats on the floor that I'd never seen before and they seemed really old. I came to the conclusion that one of my cats had been reaching up in the, I don't know what to call it, they're like rafts, in my apartment, a really high up spot above the bedroom that couldn't be reached without a ladder. My cat also brought down a dead mouse from up there. I got a lot of conspiracy theories against me on my original post about my lifestyle and stuff, but I realized I had never given an update. I'm safe now. People were concerned about carbon monoxide or my past relationship. Not a good person. Coming back. You can check my comment history about that. I am good. I am in a new place and I have lots of security cameras now. I want to thank everyone for being concerned about me and thank you all for the advice. Man, this one is a perfect example of how the line between paranoia and reality is really a blur. I would also freak out if I noticed strange hats appearing out of nowhere, or if it appeared that someone was secretly entering my home. But then the cat explanation makes it oddly anticlimactic. It's kind of hilarious how our brains go straight to the worst possible scenario when something's off, isn't it? Super spooky in the moment, but in the end it's more like a quirky coincidence than some big scary threat. My neighbor keeps trying to break into my apartment. So here's a fun little mystery from my building. Every single day, morning and evening, at 5 a.m. and again at 10 p.m., like clockwork, my neighbor tries to open my apartment door with the handle, like it's his. No key, Just a firm jiggle of the handle before he realizes it's not opening and casually walks away. For context, I'm a 22-year-old woman living alone. He's probably in his 50s or 60s, not super chatty. He talks to himself a lot, though, like full conversations alone. Also, and I swear I'm not making this up, when he leaves his own apartment, he closes the door and then rings his own doorbell. Every time. No one ever answers. I have so many questions. At first, I thought, honest mistake. But the thing is, he's been living here longer than I have. So, he should know which door is his, right? But we are now weeks into this daily routine. Sir, I promise you, this has never been your apartment. It wasn't yesterday. It won't be tomorrow. And yet, he persists, like maybe one day the stars will align, and suddenly the door will open, and he'll walk into a parallel universe or something. I've decided to slip a polite little note into his mailbox, something friendly but clear, just to say, hey, please stop trying to open my door, thanks. Maybe that'll be the end of it. Or maybe he'll just start knocking for good measure. Who knows? I'm considering leaving a note on the door. A sign. Something like, still not your door, champ. Or just embrace the chaos and start waving through the peephole every time he tries. Has this happened to anyone else? Am I starring in someone's confused sitcom without knowing? Update. Well, folks, we've had progress. Maybe. Sort of. Here's what happened. After my last post, I left a little note in my neighbor's mailbox-friendly tone, but clear message. I then proceeded to live my quiet little life until the next day, when, plot twist, he knocks on my door. At the exact moment I hear knocking, I know it's him. Call it female intuition or whatever. So, I open my door, I smile, say hi, like everything is alright. I'm a nice neighbor, you see. He asks me if I'm the one who put a note in his mailbox and then proceeds to tell me, very insistently, that it's not him. Not once, not twice, but multiple times, like a gaslighting remix on loop. I tell him I hear his door open, and then, a few seconds later, my handle wiggles. He smiles, shakes his head, and says, nope, wasn't him. So, I play it cool, and drop a casual. It actually wakes up me and my boyfriend. Because, hey, being a woman living alone next to a strange door enthusiast doesn't feel amazing. Still, he denies everything. So, in the name of peace and survival, I smile. I'm the nice neighbor here, remember? Say I must have made a mistake, hope he doesn't mind, really sorry for the trouble, and close the door. I then proceed to check my locks. Not once, not twice. Honestly, I lost count. And just a quick note for those worried about my safety. I see you, protective internet strangers. I have 2 locks and a chain on the door, and I never forget to lock it. I even check it multiple times a day when I'm home. We're staying safe and paranoid. The ultimate combo. Now here's the fun part. This morning, for the first time in ages, no door handle rattle. Which strongly suggests, yeah, it was him. Surprise. I'm really not. A miracle. Or maybe he really walked into a parallel universe. But my bet is, he just realized I knew what he was doing. But, because there's always one, around 4 a.m., I heard him open and close his door. Twice. Like full door theatrics. Open. Close. Lock. Repeat. Not quietly, not once, twice. So while he's no longer touching my door for now, let's make a bet. How long will it last? I'm taking guesses. He's still apparently living out some kind of nocturnal hallway ritual. Don't ask me why. The hallway spirits maybe, or OCD, as many of you suggested. So yeah, we're celebrating small wins. For now, my door gets to rest in peace. Let's hope it stays that way, and let's all repeat it together. Some doors just aren't yours, buddy. This is wild. On the surface, it's almost funny, like, why would anyone still? Scrunches. But that reveal turns it into something uncomfortable really fast. A weird mix of laughable and creepy. All of my scrunches started going missing when I met my boyfriend. About a month ago I became official with a guy named Tim. Tim is great, really responsible, honest, has a good career, etc. So far our relationship has been great aside from the fact that since I met him my scrunchies started going missing. It sounds stupid, I know, but I always stash scrunchies throughout my apartment. I use them every day and like them to be easily accessible. I have some in my bathroom, both of my bedrooms, my living room, my car, etc. I probably had over 20 scrunchies randomly dispersed throughout. I'm down to 6, 3 of which were in my car. At first, I thought maybe I just lost 1 or 2, but before long, I noticed that entire stashes were missing. It's gotten annoying because any time I go to reach for one, it's just gone. For example, I have a drawer under my sink where I had kept around 5 scrunchies. Sounds crazy, but I tend to take them, tie my hair back, do something else, and take it out in a different room. This assured me I will always have one on hand in the room I usually need them most. I return 5 to this stash on Sundays when I clean if they got moved. The drawer now has none. The only factor in my life that has changed is my boyfriend. My dog doesn't bother them, but even if she had somehow gotten into drawers and taken to eating them, would probably be in the pet ER right now because 14 scrunchies is quite a lot. I don't think anyone is breaking in to steal my scrunchies. I know I haven't lost this many. Is my boyfriend secretly a ferret? What could he possibly be doing with all of these scrunchies? My friends are joking that he has a shrine of me in his closet. One friend thinks that he's stealing them to test if I notice when things go missing and has plans to steal more, which has me sort of sketched out. He's never in my apartment alone, but he's somehow finding enough time to be alone to do this and for me not to notice. Does anyone have any ideas? I was going to confront him, but I don't want to accuse him of something so silly. But I also just don't get it. Help. Edit. Some of y'all just aren't any fun. Obviously, no one but him knows. I just wanted to preemptively prepare myself for reasonings as to why he could be doing this. Also, it's just kind of funny, so I wanted to share. I thought the way this was written would kind of show that, but some people are taking it way too seriously. He's planning on coming over tonight, so it's definitely on the agenda to inconspicuously ask him where they've gone. At this point, if he says he doesn't know, I'm just going to set up a camera because he's lying and needs to be called out, or B, someone unwelcomed is in my apartment stealing my stuff. Someone asked if it could be my dog, but I've pulled my couch out since this has started happening, and honestly, my dog doesn't really steal things. So I'm 99.9% positive. It's not her. She's an old gal, and just sleeps mostly. Unless there's some other creature sneaking in and stealing, it's definitely a person's doing. A lot of people have said he might be tidying them up, but this is honestly impossible, because they're nowhere to be found. I have a fairly large apartment, but unless he's storing them in a vent or something, they're just straight up missing. Either way, I should have some update tonight. Update. Yull, he just left, and I have to write this now while it's fresh in my mind. So, as many of you came at me for not doing it immediately, I had a talk with him tonight. I had planned on it, but when I discovered the last batch of missing scrunchies this morning, I snapped and just wanted to get some ideas of what he could be doing with them. I didn't want to approach it via text, or while either of us were working, so I figured I'd just wait till this evening to approach him. A lot of people told me that I should be able to talk to him, but it's still so new, and I just didn't want to approach it at first. Most of you are wrong, but a few of you beautiful, twisted people got it right. Without further ado, allow me to provide my best recollection of the conversation. Me. I keep losing my scrunchies, and it's driving me nuts. Have you seen any of them around? Him. Not really. Don't you have one on your nightstand? Me, yeah, but I used to have a lot more and now they're missing. It's so weird. At this point his demeanor kind of changed. To be fair, I was staring him down and he knew I knew. He just shrugged at me. The demeanor switch gave me enough of a spidey sense that I just flat out asked him why he was taking them. He initially tried to say that he didn't, then he tried to say he was accidentally taking them and said he would put them on his wrist and forget to take them off. I pressed him, saying I never saw them on his wrist, and I always kiss him goodbye, so I would notice. He looked like he was about to start crying and kept saying he didn't know, which didn't make sense because he clearly did. I got frustrated and raised my voice and demanded to know, at which point he admitted he was masturbating with them. I just kind of stared at him, and for a second I was glad that I made the post because the initial shock wasn't as bad since it was brought to my attention that this is common. I had him explain, and he said that one night early on he was at my place and we had made out, but I told him I didn't want to have sex. He shimmied away to the bathroom and had looked around for something to use as lube. I only had scented lotions around, and he was worried I'd noticed that he smelt like them, so he chose the next best thing, which I guess was my ultra plush towel scrunchie. After he defiled my poor scrunchie, he apparently panicked and rinsed it out and put it in his pocket. I guess this experience ignited something within him, because he started taking them to masturbate with. When I asked why he didn't just keep up with the same one and wash it or buy his own pack, he said that it felt better because it was mine. Cute, I guess. He told me he would never take another one and apologize profusely for being weird. He even offered to buy me new ones. While he wasn't as manipulative or scary as some people thought, I still don't love that trust has been broken so early on and that he stole from me, regardless of reason. I asked for space, and he left. So, yeah, I don't really know what I plan to do from here, but now, we all know, apparently scrunches of your loved one feel really good if anyone wants to give it a shot. With permission, of course. The beginning of this felt like some kind of urban legend in the making. You've got this mysterious figure, all clean and sharp-looking, just standing there for hours every day like a total enigma. Makes you wonder, right? Is it some kind of mental health thing, a stalker vibe, or something way creepier? Then the update drops that she might be a sex worker, and it's like, okay, that kind of brings it back down to earth. But still, the way she's acting is so weird, it leaves you with that spooky, we're never going to know the full story feeling. Woman stands in front of my apartment for over 6 hours every day. No idea if anyone in the world will even see this, but this is a mystery, my friends. Neighbors and I are so invested in after a week of it occurring. I live in the downtown area of a major city. It is not strange to see an unhoused or mentally unwell person loitering or having some kind of episode outside, as unfortunate as this is. If this woman looked like that kind of case, none of us would be questioning it. However, for about a week now, a clearly housed, and I believe even employed, woman has been standing around our apartment for hours. During weekdays, she shows up around 5 p.m., which is why I think she is employed, and will stand in the garage entrance across from our building until past 10 p.m. Yesterday, Saturday, she showed up in the early afternoon, was there past dark, and she is outside right now as I type this. She'll occasionally walk down or around the block, but she always ends up back in that garage entrance. Now, once again, if this was the usual crowd I see regularly on the streets, I wouldn't be questioning. But this woman always comes dressed and clean in new clean clothes. Seems to have a job based on her hours. Has a purse, a cell phone, and at least a vape. Doesn't make a sound or anything. She's not disruptive at all. She just stands there and occasionally walks around the block. Does seem scared the time I approached her and asked if she was okay. I think she mumbled about living around here, but walked off fast, clearly not wanting to continue any discussion or to clarify when I told her people are worried about her. Seems to be looking down the street in a certain direction regularly, like she's looking for someone. She checks her phone a lot too. Honestly, if you saw her without the context of knowing she's been there over 5 hours, you'd think it was a woman waiting for her Uber. She does eventually seem to go home, or somewhere, usually after 10 p.m. A few other things I've already discussed with friends or tried. She is not a sex worker. Or if she is, she's not a very good one since she never leaves that garage spot for more than 5 minutes. She doesn't dress explicitly in any way either. I feel she's too calm to be on any drugs. If she's waiting to do some kind of exchange, I'm not sure what would have her waiting around over 5 hours each day. If she truly just liked being outside and enjoying the fresh air, there are really nice new benches in a really nice public area, literally around the corner. But she chooses to stand in this garage instead. She only does quick checks on her phone, so it's not even like she gets lost in a mobile game or something. We have called local shelters and provided pictures. Nobody recognizes her. We have called crisis lines and non-emergency lines for welfare checks. We either get told that they can't do anything unless she comes to them, or that they will send someone to check on her and then just never do, or maybe they did and determined she was fine. She's out there all day, so it's not like I'm watching her every second. I don't know. Like I said, she doesn't cause any trouble, but we're all just worried she's having some kind of episode, but she could just also be strange. It's a little creepy because sometimes it feels like I've got a real NPC outside my place, but I know there's got to be some legitimate story behind her. Lastly, one more edit. I have no intentions of talking further to this woman beyond a friendly wave hello when I pass. She clearly didn't wish to talk the last time I asked if she was okay, and I am going to respect that. There likely won't be any updates or answers to this since I have no intentions to pry further, whether out of her privacy in a sensitive situation or even a potentially dangerous one, such as a stalking scenario. I've been worried all this time, but comments did raise good points about stalking or undercover possibilities, so I will not be looking any further into it, both for her privacy and my safety. Update. I know some people were asking for an update, and I was going to give it on Monday. After I called the office she stands in the garage of. But I think the mystery is 98% solved as of today. First off, this has been kind of wild. It turns out people in the building next to me, hi, if you see this again, found my post. They're just as curious as my building, and apparently recognize the woman from my post. I've gotten some creepy and concerning details from them I planned on sharing here, but ultimately, I think we've come to a conclusion. She's a sex worker. I know I said in my previous post that that option was off the table, but new information makes this almost certainly the answer. I had seen which direction she tends to walk off in, and once she even came back from it with a jacket, so I had some idea of what direction she lived. Today I went to a corner store that I go to very frequently. I asked one of the employees who is there daily if they recognized her, and he knew her right away. She has apparently come into their shop and done the same thing, just stood and did nothing for long periods of time. The difference with his experience, though, is that she did speak to people. He told me she tried to flirt with them, the employees, and the customers. Apparently, this even worked on one customer, and she went back with him to a nearby apartment. Then later, the same customer came back yelling at her about being a thief and robbing him. She's also been seen with two shady individuals whose descriptions are now matched by multiple people. She likely works with or for them, and this garage is just her post, I guess. Her constant looking at her phone is probably her waiting for clients, and her disappearing for 10 to 30 minutes at a time is probably going to a client. I just never saw this as a possibility because she dresses so modestly, speaks so shyly, and never seemed to get picked up or approached. But I guess she's just visiting clients in the area, or maybe she has a spot where she meets them. Who knows? The employees advise me to not approach her anymore since she's potentially dangerous and even more potentially connected to dangerous people. This is all just from one source, and who knows how sketchy the man she supposedly robbed was, but I have warned my neighbors that she has at least been accused of robbing someone. This news is as of only 2 hours ago or so I have no updates beyond that. My biggest concern was that she was in some kind of mental crisis, but that does not seem to be the case now. She likely does still need some kind of help, so my neighbor, who is very involved and connected to resources in the city, is going to be making some phone calls. But for now, we all know it's best to not reach out to her. Just to address some things I feel like are going to be asked or brought up. Yes, it's still weird she stands there for so long doing nothing. I'm certain, and so was the employee that she flirted with, that there's still something not completely mentally well with her. Police, crisis lines, helplines, pretty much everything has already been called by various neighbors by now. Nothing's come of it so far. Someone actually yelled at her the other day. I didn't witness this because I was out of town, but the neighbor who found my post was keeping me in the loop. They flat out told her she was creeping people out and asked her to stand anywhere else. She told him no before walking off, to which he yelled that he was going to call the police. She came back the next day after being yelled at, according to Reddit neighbor. I still wasn't home, but since I got home Thursday, I haven't seen her. However, my neighbor saw her last night at 3 a.m., so maybe she's gotten wise to how many people are aware of her and is only moonlighting in this area now. Only time will tell, I guess. Sorry if this was underwhelming, but most things in life are. On one hand, I'm glad she's not confused and having some kind of mental crisis or that it's not a homeless situation. But on the other hand, not super thrilled to have a sex worker who has supposedly robbed someone outside my apartment regularly. This is by far one of the creepiest. Some random person showing up late at night knowing the ARP's full name and super specific stuff about a relationship from like forever ago. That's not something you can brush off easily. It's next level creepy. It crosses from unsettling into downright sinister because it implies someone's been digging into her past, maybe even with malicious intent. The update with the ex's recent girlfriend being targeted too only deepens the mystery. It's like one of those rabbit holes with no clear bottom which makes it really stick in your head. Unfortunately, she has no update on the story after this. So I guess that's it. What are your theories though? Weird guy shows up at my parents' house at 1 a.m. looking for me and using details of my life that were valid 20 years ago helped me figure this out. I posted this on the Creepy Encounters sub and someone suggested I post here. This happened 3 nights ago and I am going crazy trying to figure it out. I just moved into a new apartment 1 month ago and I am still unpacking and settling in. I have been using my parents' address as my mailing address. They live a few towns over, 20 minutes away, all of my life. 3 nights ago, my parents called me at 2 a.m., freaked out, and proceeded to tell me this story. Apparently, at 1 a.m., someone started banging on their front door and repeatedly ringing their doorbell. My stepdad walked downstairs and opened the door, leaving the front glass door closed and locked. There was a man standing outside who looked to be in his 30s with a black hoodie on with the hood pulled up around his face. He didn't have any distinguishing facial features, facial hair, or tattoos. The only thing my stepdad said was that he looked to be Hispanic. Neither my stepdad nor my mother, who was watching the whole thing out a window, recognized the man. The man said, "I'm so sorry to bother you, but I'm looking for my full name." My stepdad played dumb and said, "Who?" The man proceeded to state my full name again and said that my boyfriend was worried because I didn't come home that night. He claimed to be a friend of my boyfriend and told my stepdad that they were both out looking for me, worried because I didn't show up at home. I don't have a boyfriend. I live by myself with my 3 dogs and haven't been in a relationship in the past 5 to 6 months. Here's the weird part. My stepdad asked the guy what boyfriend he was talking about, and the man told him the name of the boyfriend I had when I was in 10th grade, nearly 20 years ago. My boyfriend in 10th grade has a very, very unique Italian name. I've never met anyone with a full name even close to his. He said my high school boyfriend's name a few more times to ensure my stepdad heard him and repeated that they were very worried about me, asking if my stepdad was sure I wasn't inside. At this point, my stepdad was weirded out and closed and locked the door in his face. The man did not leave. He lingered in front of my parents' house for the next 10 minutes, smoking cigarettes and talking on the phone. Finally, my parents called the cops. About 5 minutes before the cops arrived, the man walked down to the dead end on their block and drove away in a silver car. My stepdad was unable to get the license plate. My parents filed a police report and nothing else happened. After I heard this story, I was going nuts over the weird details. How would someone know who I dated nearly 20 years ago? And what would the motive be for making up a story that included that weird detail about my past? I have not had contact with the 10th grade boyfriend in over a decade. Yesterday, I decided to message him on Facebook to see if he had any insight. I told him the whole story. He's just as confused as I am and claimed to have no part in it. I am at a loss. I'm also really free. Edit 1. Wow, this really blew up. Thank you so much for all the kind words and the precautions that I should take. I want to add something here that a few people commented on that might shine some light on this mystery. First off, I am not in any legal trouble and have no reason to think someone would be suing me. God. I mean, I guess it's always in the realm of possibility that I'm being sued by someone, but I really don't think that's it. Like I previously commented, I had an expired registration ticket that I did not show up to court for, but I believe I got a letter in the mail just asking me to pay a really large fee, so I don't think that's related. I did take a personal loan out, took it out about a year and a half ago. It wasn't for anything too crazy, and I was really good with making payments on time until about 6 months ago when I had a medical issue. Currently, I am really behind on payments, but to my knowledge, I have not defaulted on the loan yet. What do you guys think? Related? I had absolutely no idea that this is a thing, or I would have included this detail to begin with. Let me know your thoughts. Edit 2. I have a list of a few things that I am going to look into tomorrow based on my own thoughts and based on a ton of valuable feedback I got in here. Thank you. We'll post an update as soon as possible. I'm so sorry it's taken me so long to update. It's a super busy time at work. Unfortunately, there isn't much to report. I called the loan company. They claim to have nothing to do with it. All of my friends and family also noted that the 1 a.m. factor kind of rules that out anyway. Nothing else strange has happened at my parents'. I went there for the first time last night and kept a close eye out for anything. I didn't observe anything out of the norm. So, this remains a mystery. I'll be sure to update if something else happens. Update: after this happened, my family, a couple of my close friends, and I have been talking about this mystery in depth to try and put our heads together to figure it out. We all have our own theories, but ultimately no definitive answer as to what happened or who this creeper was. So, we pretty much put it to rest and only continue to joke about it once in a while. Here's the update. My stepsister, my stepdad's daughter, and her fiancé were at a house party right after the holidays, around early January of this year. While they were there, they started talking to a girl that neither of them knew. After some time talking together, the girl started talking about her ex-boyfriend and how they were going through a really tough time together. They had just recently broken up, and she felt really bad. Because he was a wreck over it. Somehow, it came up that this girl's ex-boyfriend was my 10th grade boyfriend, the one with the really unique Italian name. The whole situation wasn't that big of a coincidence, since I went to high school with my stepsister's fiancé, and we have a lot of mutual friends. So it makes sense that they were at a party that would include some people I went to high school with. As soon as my stepsister and her fiancé heard this, they both started freaking out, and, without revealing too many details, they told the girl about the whole mystery and how weird it was. As they were telling the story, the girl's face started to go white, and she looked like she was about to cry. My stepsister and fiancé tried to console her and asked her what was wrong. The wine and beer had been flowing at this point, so I'm sure everyone was a little tipsy. The girl started to tell them that a few nights ago she was sleeping, and someone started banging on her door at, get this, fucking 1 a.m., just like what happened to me at my parents'. The girl jumped out of bed and said she was absolutely terrified by how loud and aggressive someone was banging on her door. She said she literally thought it was going to break in. The girl has a Ring camera, so she looked on her phone. There, on the camera, was a guy in a black hoodie banging on her door. She obviously pretended like she wasn't home and kept all of the lights off. He continued banging. As she was getting ready to dial 911, the guy stopped and left. She said she was absolutely terrified. For whatever reason, she didn't end up calling the cops but may have gone to stay with a friend that night or the night after. My stepsister and fiancé were shocked by the details and how similar it was to my story, especially because of the mutual ex-boyfriend we share, except this girl literally just broke things off with him. They asked the girl if she had any idea who the guy was, and she said no, but that it definitely was not the actual ex-boyfriend. She said this guy was much taller and heavier than our shared mutual ex. How fucking weird. This mystery is still unsolved and these new details honestly just make my head spin even more. No one else has shown up to my parents' door since the actual incident a year ago. ARP's comment in the update post. Hi all. So, a few answers to some questions. 1. 10th grade boyfriend was into drugs when I dated him back in high school. No idea if he continued to use throughout his life or not, but can confirm he is definitely an addict who may or may not be in recovery currently. 2. 10th grade boyfriend has been to my parents' house multiple times. My parents still live in the same house I grew up in, and my 10th grade boyfriend has been over many times while we dated in high school. I don't know where he currently lives, but he grew up about 10 minutes away from my parents' house. 3. 10th grade boyfriend and I had a horrific breakup. I met my high school sweetheart while I was dating him and broke up with him in a pretty messed up way. He held a grudge over it all throughout high school and was extremely nasty to me, to the point of bullying. At one point I had to get a security guard to escort me to classes because he and his friends were bullying me so badly. The bullying was only severe for the rest of 10th grade, but he definitely hated me all throughout high school. At one point he did end up apologizing to me and explained that he was just heartbroken over me breaking up with him, but at that point I was way past the point of forgiving him. After graduating high school, we ran into each other maybe once or twice while I was home from college, and he was totally cordial and nice with me, and we laughed the high school experiences off. 4. I can definitely try reaching out to him on Facebook again and bringing back up this whole mystery with the added updates from his recent ex-girlfriend to see what his reaction is and gauge whether or not he's being truthful in it. I can also ask some mutual high school friends who know him about how he currently is, if he's into any shady shit or not. 5. My stepsister only gave me a first name and a description of recent ex-girlfriend from the party. But I can go on the 10th grade boyfriend's Facebook and look for her under his friends, then reach out to her on Facebook Messenger to inquire about ring footage and ask her more questions. And also see if she ever reached out to cops. I agree this is probably the best thing to do if I want more answers, but I agree I need to be careful, as I still don't know what is going on here. 6. 10th grade boyfriend does not have a brother, just one younger sister that I remember back from high school. Additional comment update. I decided I am going to try and find out the girl's full name so I can look her up on social media. I may even be able to find her with just the first name that I already know from my stepsister telling me. I can go onto 10th grade boyfriend's Facebook and look in his friend list for a girl with the same first name who looks like she could have been his ex-girlfriend. He may even have pictures with her tagged, so it shouldn't be that hard unless he wiped his social media clean of her after they broke up. When I am able to find her, I'm going to reach out to her and try and get some answers. I think this is the safest route since I still don't know 10th grade boyfriend's role in this, and I did already ask him once and he claimed to have no part in it or know anything, which may or may not have been a lie. Based on how scared my stepsister said this girl was, I'm betting she'll be willing to talk to me about it since we share the experience. I will make an update post when I have more info. Thanks, everyone. What kind of neighbor jiggles your doorknob at the exact same time every day? It's totally not something someone can just brush off. Even if it's just them being confused or maybe some OCD thing or weird ritual, it still feels super invasive when it's your door. And then the dude gets all defensive and denies it when called out. That's sketchy as hell. Like, if it was just a mistake, why not just say sorry? It leaves you wondering if it's really a confused old guy, someone not all there, or something way shadier. That unknown is what makes it so damn unnerving. Found hidden folder on husband's phone with pictures and videos he secretly took of his former secretary. Hi everyone, not a native speaker, so apologies in advance. Married for 3 years in a relationship for over 5 years. After a long academic journey, we are both at the start of our careers and being pretty successful doing so. Recently bought our dream house together and are simply enjoying the few years we've got left to do whatever we like since we're planning on having kids in a couple of years from now. The relationship felt, to me, like it's made to last forever. We're sharing the same values, same humor, same goals. Also, we were both old and experienced enough to tell it's not just puppy love or anything like that. We both share a pretty much open phone policy, which just came naturally, sharing pictures, simply grabbing the next device available to look something up, etc. We both own iPhones, and I recently stumbled across the possibility to mask or fade out, sorry, I don't know the exact term, pictures, and they will only appear in a special folder. Mea culpa. Mea maxima culpa. That caught my attention concerning his phone. So last Monday, when he went for his swim training, he left his phone at home and I went for it. What I found was, beyond every expectation I've had, I thought maybe I would find some random porn or even pictures of his ex or something like that. I found pictures and slow-mo videos he took in the office over a span of a few weeks of his, now former secretary. She is a 21-year-old, pretty, attractive girl. He recently got a new job and the pictures started around the time he knew he would quit his old job and therefore probably wouldn't see her again. The pictures mainly focused on her ass, her legs and her heels. There were also saved profile pictures of hers from social media. Then there was something else which I still can't or don't want to believe. One series of pictures shows her ass in tight dark jeans with some fresh or wet stains of something that looks like sperm on it. He kind of has a fetish for anything that has to do with girls getting messy with sperm in porn and or real life. I felt and feel shocked and can't think of anything else since I found that Pandora's box. I did not talk to him about it yet. He's not suspecting anything, even though I could not act around him normally. When he asked what's wrong, I told him I didn't feel very well due to my period, which is also true, by the way. So please share your opinion about it. How should I approach this? Should I even approach it? Is this normal behavior? Has anybody experienced something like that? Thank you for your support. Edit. First of all, I want to thank you all for caring so much. Regarding your comments, I feel the need to add some more context. He spoke to me about her regularly when he told me about his day at work. She was his personal secretary or assistant. They also talked about private stuff, but nothing inappropriate. More like small talk, what did you do over the weekend, stuff like that. At least he told me so. But he always liked trying to make me a little bit jealous. Seemed to be a turn-on for him. He tried to do so by telling me innocent things about other girls that were obviously attractive. Like she has new nails which look way better now, or today she dresses a little bit inappropriate for work. He always did so with a smile, and of course I knew what was going on and what he was up to, and of course he in retrospect talked about her in that way. Most of the time, it did not bother me, since I was sure it would be something childish he needs for himself. Most of the time, I wouldn't even react. He has no social connection to her anymore, not on social media, not in real life. The only connection or contact they do still have is their phone numbers. She sometimes has to reach out to him to ask for some work-related stuff, since not all of his cases or projects have been finished when he left the job. He openly tells me about that when there was contact. Seemed normal to me. What I don't know is where he has the social media pictures from. I looked it up. They are not connected via Instagram or Facebook, and her profile is set to private. He doesn't use any other social media as far as I know. Some of the pictures were WhatsApp profile pictures, others probably were not. That makes me wonder a little bit. Maybe I should try and haul myself back for a few days and see if the folder is updated regularly. What do you guys think? Also, I feel the urge to check on his other devices, but I have resisted so far. Edit. I'm overwhelmed with your responses. Certainly did not expect so much feedback and so much sympathy. Some responses even brought tears to my eyes. I'm pretty collected right now, although I think it'll be another sleepless night. I have a plan. I need to find out since so many of you suspect there is more to it. Tomorrow, he will be at work while I'm working from home. All of his devices, except for his phone, will be here. I will look at them. I simply have to know. I know this could backfire, but I'm being totally egoistic here. He lost his right to privacy the moment he took pictures of this young lady. By the way, I met her a few times when I was visiting him at work and she is a true sweetheart. I'm getting angry while writing this at the moment. I will find out and will save the evidence and confront him. I will keep you guys updated. Should I keep on editing this post or start a new one? I really don't know since I'm pretty much new to this active posting thing. Edit. Good morning, everyone. Right now, I'm sitting in front of his computer, MacBook Pro, which is connected to his phone. He's at work and will return in about 4 hours. I have absolutely no clue how and where to search for evidence. I've always used Windows my whole life. I know some of you might not want to be a part of this, but if anyone could provide some help, for example, where to find the photo stream, that would help me a lot. For anybody wondering how I'm doing, I didn't sleep a lot, feeling empty at the moment, with my heartbeat going very fast. Of course he noticed. He was caring. He always is. And I tried my best, acting like it's all due to my period plus migraines. Thanks for your support. Update. I'm shocked. Calling my sister now. This is too much to handle for me. Update. Sorry for letting you guys wait for so long. Now, I'm sitting here at my sister's house, spending the first night without him for years. It's about 10 p.m. here in Europe, if you wonder. After one of you guys told me about the Photos app on Mac, I opened it. It was a mirror of his phone and then some. There is the hidden folder with all of the spy pictures. Also, there was an album by the name of her initials. It was the single most disgusting thing I have ever seen. He took pictures and videos of himself ejaculating in prepped food in a Tupperware, while obviously being in his office bathroom. A few pictures later, she was eating her lunch at the office right out of that Tupperware. Pictures of him coming into a coffee or on cookies. You can imagine the rest, I think. Besides that, I found dozens of pictures and videos of her from social media, which all seem to be screenshots or screen recordings. I don't even know if this is a word. I have absolutely no idea where he got these from, since they are not connected officially on any social media. I already commented that I decided to call my sister, who came over immediately. I was in a total state of shock and showed her everything. She was my rescue. She told me to go grab an external hard drive and took a copy of all that shit while I was packing my bags for the next few nights. We left before he got home. His laptop was still open with the album open when we left. About 2 hours later he tried to call me like 100 times. My sister took the phone once and told him to stop it in a very explicit manner. He wrote and is writing me messages constantly to come home and talk about everything we could fix this, he needs my help and stuff like that. I didn't answer. Not a single word. I'm just sitting here crying most of the time and feeling like the biggest idiot of all time for falling for a guy like him. It takes the floor out from under my feet. It scares me not knowing what comes next, not knowing what to do tomorrow and how to deal with all of that. I also think that I should contact her. It's too much. I would appreciate your advice here. He is a lawyer. The city we live in is his hometown. His career would be over for sure if this happens to become public. I don't think he could ever recover. And for myself, I would always be his woman, the poor wife. First update. Hello everyone. I want to keep you guys updated and also ask for your further advice. I decided to talk to him and give him the opportunity to explain this whole thing from his perspective. Not that I had any hope, but a confrontation was unavoidable anyway. So yesterday, on Sunday, we met at our house. It is also my house. I told him my sister knew I was here, and she would call me in about 1 hour to confirm I'm okay. I have to mention, I had no fear concerning violence or something like that. Anyway, better safe than sorry. When I arrived, he was initially very reserved and observant. I acted calm and distant. We sat down, and he said nothing. So I told him not to waste my time and to say what he had to say. He then asked me what I think I found, and I couldn't help but respond that I found out he was a sexual criminal and that I would report him to the police. That probably was a mistake. His demeanor changed, and he told me this would be a very bad idea and may result in some serious trouble for me. He claimed he had an affair with his former assistant for quite some time, and this whole food thing was just a game or bet between them. The bet was that he would make her eat his sperm before he left the job. The pictures would be the proof, and he already showed her all of them to win the bet. He said it was just a kinky game between them. The other pictures of her ass etc. were also taken consensually. At least she knew about it. So he told me there was nothing illegal going on, and if I went to the police this would be wrong suspicion performed by me. Also, nobody would believe me anyway because it would clearly be an act of revenge from the betrayed wife. Last but not least, he would know the chief prosecutor personally, which is true. So, if I went to the police, I would only make a fool of myself and also probably commit a crime. At that moment, I couldn't think straight anymore. I reacted emotionally rather than think rationally. I lost it and told him to get out of the house. It got ugly. The result was he actually left the house. I had no idea if and when he might come back, and I also felt very uncomfortable in the house. I then packed a few more things and went back to my sister's house where I'm planning on staying for the week at least. Today I called in sick to work. Now, I'm no fool, and of course I see him being a lawyer trying to protect at least his career by claiming it was all consensual. He knows me very well and he knows our relationship was over the moment I found the pictures. I've always been very strict and consistent in former relationships and he knows that. On the other hand, his claim could be true. I think I'll contact a lawyer as I need one for divorce anyway. Edit. I had to call her. We will meet in about 2 hours in a cafe next to the office. She seemed surprised, but not concerned. For your context, we already met a few times when I was visiting him at the office and casually spoke a few words. So I'm no stranger to her. I will drag some of the photos onto my phone to show her. This whole thing feels so unreal, but if I wouldn't do it, the feeling of not knowing and not being able to do something until next week when I meet my lawyer would be too hard to endure. Second update. When she arrived, I could already see by her demeanor that she had no clue what was going on and why I asked her to meet me. This turned out to be true. First thing I asked her was if he contacted her within the last couple of days. She denied. I had a feeling she was telling the truth. A 22-year-old girl, I asked her for her age, could not have lied to my face this calmly and collectedly, I think. So I told her I found very inappropriate and disturbing photos of hers on his phone. I showed her some of the spy pictures on my phone and asked her if she knew or had noticed about that. She reacted completely irate. The pictures I showed her were normal ones, so nothing about the really gross part just yet. I asked her about their relationship and his behavior towards her. She initially said everything was okay and normal, and most of the time he used to be very polite. But she added that towards the end of his job, he used to approach her very often and talk to her about personal topics, such as her relationship status. One time, he made up a fictional scenario where he said he would ask her out if he wasn't married. When she replied to him, she would have said no in that scenario because she would want to separate work from private life. He acted offended and talked her into saying yes. I felt ashamed for his behavior and apologized for him. Then I told her that there would be something else that I needed to inform her about. I told her about the other pictures involving the food. I didn't plan to show her the pictures, but she really wanted to see them. I showed them to her and she literally nearly threw up. She was in a state of shock. It broke my heart, so I sat next to her and took her hand. I told her I'm by her side and will support her in whatever she plans on doing. I told her I had already left the house and will divorce him. I couldn't help but start crying, seeing what he's done to that lovely girl. I asked her if she wanted me to accompany her on her way home, but she said it was okay. She went by car. She will talk to her family and certainly report him and also file a lawsuit against him. At least that's what she said. I feel so incredibly sorry for her. It breaks my heart. At the same time, I feel so angry about him and still hope this is just a nightmare. Hopefully, I did the right thing. Third update. 2 weeks later. One day after I met her, she must have gone to the police and reported him. 2 days later, I received a call from a police officer who asked me to show up at his office and bring the pictures I copied with me. Of course, I went there and handed them to him. I still own another copy, though. He asked me if I wanted to testify, correct word, but told me I didn't have to because he is my husband. I agreed and told him everything I knew, how I found out, and how I contacted her. The very next day, the police called me again and asked if I was at home. A couple of hours later, 4 policemen, my husband, and a prosecutor showed up at our house. My husband handed them all electronic devices, hard drives, old phones, USBs, etc. They also searched through our house for hidden ones, but, as far as I know, didn't find any. My husband told me he was currently living in a hotel room and said he would come back later to get some clothes and other belongings if that was okay. I agreed but told him I wouldn't be there. He said we need to talk but he will not pressure me and give me time and space. He said he loves me and the whole thing looks more ugly than it actually is. It just got a little out of hand. To be honest, I would have loved to punch him right in his face and or scream at him, but I couldn't say a single word, which was probably better anyway. On that afternoon, he obviously got some stuff out of the house, and when I came back, his keys were lying on the table next to a printed email from a craftsman who would come a few days later to repair something with the garage door. Ever since I've been alone at the house, and really nothing has happened. I've got to be honest here. I cancelled the appointment I originally had with my own lawyer concerning divorce. It's not that I'm having an illusion that everything will eventually turn out well. I just don't feel ready for it. It's been a little too much for me lately. I will proceed as soon as I find some energy. That's about it. He did not contact me, not a single word. Even though I'm in constant contact with my sister, I feel pretty lonely and sort of depressed. Also, I'm a little scared alone at the house. We've had some pretty bad thunderstorms lately at night. From what I've read in the previous comments, there was a discussion about where I'm from. It actually put a smile on my face getting so much attention. It's Germany, so one of you guys just won a wash machine. Final update. Hello everyone. I've received lots of messages asking for updates, so I decided to post one. I know a lot of you guys will be disappointed, and that's okay. It was a very tough time. Lots of emotions, fights, tears, sleepless nights. But eventually, he is my husband, and I'm his wife. In the good times, and in the bad. We are giving it another chance. I will not explain every detail that led us to this point, but I will say it was not an easy decision to make. We had very good conversations, he really opened up, took care of my feelings, and really didn't pressure me. I know what he did was wrong. Of course, he knows that as well. But saying it was all his fault wouldn't be fair. She is not that innocent girl I thought she was. Of course, I blame him for falling for her, but she must have made it tough for him, and in the end, he is only human. I know what victim blaming is, but that's not the case here. Again, I will not go into details, but she knew exactly what she was doing. She knew how he liked women's dresses, shoes, nails, etc. She must have been flirty with him from day one, which has been for almost 3 years now. I couldn't even blame a man for getting weak, certainly not for finding another valve. She is not an angel. Probably most of you guys will now consider me weak and, best case, will tell me he was gaslighting me. Feel free to do so. It's okay. In the end, it's my life, my marriage, my shoes to walk in. For the criminal proceeding, he reached a deal and paid a fine. The money will be received by the charity. There were no court proceedings. To this point, she didn't sue him, which I think speaks for itself. Anyway, I still love you guys, and I'm very thankful for all the support I received. Edit. I feel the need to explain a little bit more about my decision. I married him, knowing all of his kinks and fetishes. I knew the typical porn star look as his thing. Big boobs, big ass, small waist, makeup, full lips, fake lashes, fake nails, plastic. You guys know what I'm talking about. Now, throw in her fulfilling most of these clichés. Big boobs, big ass, small waist, all dolled up, lashes, nails, high heels, running in and out of his office, taking care of him, always in a good mood, laughing. She is a smart and confident girl. She knew exactly how she was triggering a 30-year-old man. She knew he had her WhatsApp. He showed me her profile pictures changing on a weekly basis. Hell, even I think they are sexy. Not saying she deserved what he did, but I now understand that dynamic and what her appearance having her around all day did to him and how it must have triggered him. When I was her age, I knew exactly how to manipulate a man sexually. I'm sure most women do. She definitely does. He decided not to cheat on me, not to start an affair. He just chose the wrong exit. He could and should have talked to me. That was the mistake he made, because together we would have found a way. I'm not a prude, not religious, and I don't hate other women. But women shouldn't act surprised when they force a reaction in men looking like a porn star. In my experience, men around the age of 30 are no different than a 15-year-old boy in the middle of puberty. That combination was toxic. This one seriously messed up, the darkest of the bunch, no question. It goes from a betrayal of trust to outright predatory behavior. Your husband is a predator. Hidden photos, secret videos, food contamination. That's so many lines crossed. It's hard to wrap your head around. And the updates just keep making it worse. Then the wife decides to stay with him. That's such a wild twist. It really makes you wonder how someone can brush off that kind of awful behavior when it's someone they love. The whole thing's just heavy, super disturbing, and leaves you feeling super annoyed and disappointed compared to the others. And that wraps up today's oddly unsettling Reddit confessions and stories. They weren't the most extreme or dramatic, but that's what made them hit differently. The quiet, off-putting details that stick in your head long after you've heard them. Sometimes it's not the big, shocking events, but the small, eerie ones that really leave you unsettled. If you've come across stories like these, let me know in the comments. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe and stick around for more.